Did you know that nearly 1 million people have been impacted by Be Broken Ministries just this year? Through radio, internet, and print media, we are reaching out to families across the nation struggling with pornography and sexual addiction. Hi, I'm Jonathan Daugherty, founder of Be Broken, and every day we are grateful for the opportunities to provide hope and healing to thousands of individuals and families. We cannot do what we do without your help. I want to ask you 2 questions as this year winds down. First, will you pray for us? We face significant spiritual obstacles and challenges in the fight for sexual purity, and we need your prayers. Second, would you consider sending a generous year-end donation to Be Broken? Your gift could provide the time and resources for a marriage to be restored or a life changed. To offer your prayer or financial gift, please call us today at 1-800-49-PURITY or visit us online at bebroken.com.
Welcome to Pure Sex Radio, training men, educating women. Are you ready to get real and start living each day in purity? This dynamic program is designed to educate, encourage, and equip listeners with the tools necessary for living a life of sexual purity. Pure Sex Radio brings you the best in mobile talk radio. Listen to real-life struggles, learn how to overcome lust, pornography, and sex addiction, and get serious about purity. Your hosts for Pure Sex Radio are Jonathan Daugherty and Stephen Cervantes. Jonathan is the director of Be Broken Ministries and founder of the Gateway to Freedom Workshop for Men. Stephen is the founder of the Hope Counseling Center. Visit us online at puresexradio.com. And now, please welcome Jonathan and Stephen on Pure Sex Radio.
Good day, radio listeners. Welcome to this week's edition of the Pure Sex Radio broadcast. We're glad to have you here with us. My name is Jonathan. I'm here with Stephen. Stephen, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful today, blessed today, and glad to be alive. Thank you for asking.
Well, we are just very close to the start of another year, which is just unbelievable to me. And we are just, we're grateful to you as our listeners, and we just pray blessings over you and your loved ones as you close out this year and start another year. We stand alongside of you in your journey of purity and integrity. And again, just want to let you know that we make ourselves available to you should you have questions or just need just some encouragement along the way. You can find us at puresexradio.com, or you can call us. Our toll-free number is 1-800-49-PURITY. It's 1-800-497-8748. Well, Stephen, I'm going to pass it off to you, and you're going to share with our listeners kind of what we're going to do this week about going through various statements that guys have made to us.
I want to thank the Gateway men, Gateway to Freedom men. If you've been to one of our conferences and you're listening, I want to thank you because you've been a part of what's developing and continue develops in terms of helping men get free. And you've supported it with your presence and your money. And we thank you for that. And we've also given permission by men to share some of their story. We never use names, but brothers of Christ we are, and warriors together we are, and servants of one another we are. And so we say, yes, use whatever blesses my brother, you may use it. Mm-hmm. And so for the 10 men that have shared pieces of this, I say thank you. And we're going to talk about 10 types of presentations that come to a Gateway to Freedom weekend. And I say a lot about Gateway. It's just because we learn a lot there. Mm-hmm. We both get smarter there, and God shows up there, and we learn every time we go, and the men that come learn, and it's just a powerful encounter. So sometimes it might sound like we're just promoting it. Here they are again. But we're saying that's like a great classroom of learning where the men get together and refine one another.
Yeah, and I can assure you that the learning is not one way.
Yes,
Those
that's
workshops,
right.
I can't tell you how much my life has been enriched, and Stephen, you too. I mean, just how much we have learned in our own
Absolutely.
personal journeys by being part of that.
I love it. I always wanted to work at a summer camp. I've worked at 13 summer camps. I love summer camps. And I thought, I wonder if there's a way to make a living, go to summer camps, you know. I never figured that out. But God was so kind that he lets me participate in Gateway to Freedom weekends. And it's like camp with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, there's such fellowship and camaraderie. You know, it's just a great healing and growing and meet God place.
Mm-hmm.
So here are 10 different presentations. Man number 1 walks in, and he says, everyone comes in saying they have a sexual struggle, but they also have an emotional component that comes along with it. And so I'm not going to repeat sexual struggle. All of these guys come because they're struggling with something. But their emotional component alongside it is always interesting. And they have an emotional system, and something is not working to get them satisfaction. And it's sort of part of the mix in with the sexual struggle. So guy number 1 says, hey, I talk fast. I live fast. I talk fast. I solve problems fast. I have a good job. It requires me to fix things. I move fast. And so that's who I am. So you make a comment about a guy that has a sexual struggle and he moves fast.
Well, it fits. I mean, to me, it fits. I mean, everything about a sexual addiction is fast, right? Right now, thrill, fast. I mean, give me the highest thrill. I want to get it now. There's an immediacy to porn and sex and all of this that's like in the moment, right now. And
it's
fast.
ready, right? It's there. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
It'll go as fast as you go. You can look as much as you want, as long as you want.
Yeah, there's no preparation needed. There's no, patience needed. There's no.
So this type of emotional system is great if you're a firefighter and the fire is happening, right?
Right.
Or if there's a burglar and we need a cop to pursue him, be fast and good and run this thing down. But some of these emotional systems sort of lend themselves or play to, and so we have to manage ourselves from an emotional standpoint.
And I think fast too, a lot of times that means that this person has trouble with having attention, being able to spend time focusing, and so
slow down and focus. That's right.
So think about pornography. Pornography is about you can look at one image for 2 seconds and I'm on to the next one. Next one. It's there's no attention needed.
Oh, that's too good.
Porn.
And so the whole idea of your wife wants to talk. Now, doesn't that sound slow? Let's just talk. I have some things I want to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to open my heart to you. And let's just talk and explore. Well, what do you think is going to happen to this guy? If he's moving at a fast pace and she's moving slow, he's going to be saying, hurry up, bottom line, why are you telling me that?
And he's probably learned to escape very fast into his head.
Wow.
He's probably got a presentation that's good at being present physically, but he's gone in his mind.
Yeah, so he glazes over. His wife knows he's not even there. His words, he's edgy. Now, I've been reading some on attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity and all that. And I think they said something like 40% of men with sexual addictions have ADD. Their brains are working fast.
It would make sense, yeah.
And so you have to figure out how to slow your brain down at times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing about it is with ADD, you bounce a lot. But when you find something that really helps you focus and uses your whole system, think about a child that has ADD, but he can play video games for 8 hours. No, he has ADD. How can he do that? No, ADD, bounce until you find something that really you can plug into and it uses all of your system. Well, games do that. They're fun, they're exciting, they're made to engage you, and they grab you and you play and you can stay there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a kid. What do you think the parallel to porn is? Does it grab you? Does it hold you? Is it mindless? Does it want to pull in your biology and satisfy you? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of guys with addictions have ADD. So go fast. So be mindful, listeners. Go check on that. That may be an issue. Number 2 guy comes in and he says, well, yeah, I have a sexual struggle. And I've noticed something about myself. I zone out. I waste time. I'm gone. The whole day is gone. I get lost. I escape. I go to parties and I'm there for a while, but I want to get away.
Well, think about that. I mean, one of the things we talk about when it comes to a porn addiction, especially, is the fact that most guys will isolate, and that's a type of zoning out. You're going to disconnect from, social settings or relationships in order to act out. And so zoning out, I mean, I see that as a perfect fit with porn because it lends itself toward isolation.
Guy number 3 shows up and he says, I like to work. I'm at work all the time. I'm gone. My office is my little kingdom. And I control and order and have great things happen in my office. Not so good at home. Sometimes I get confused at home and I'm not sure what needs to be done. But at work, I'm ordered, I'm organized. I love to stay there. I stay there a lot. Some people might call me a workaholic. I love work.
And this to me is, I can resonate with this one because I have to be careful myself of workaholism. I mean, I get really zoned into certain things that I'm doing. And what I see here is a guy who wants to have all of his I's dotted and his T's crossed. In other words, the things that he can control is where he's going to be most comfortable. And if you think about it, work is typically a place that can happen. Things are usually very structured. 2 + 2 = 4. Things are black and white. You've got a job to do. Get it done. When you've got it done.
Wow, that's good. You can order that world.
When
right?
you've got it done, you can assess it. You've got very measurable, facts about that. Think about how that works in porn. Who's in control when it comes to porn? You are, right?
Right.
You are setting the agenda for all of what's going on in pornography. And the thing is, where are you not in complete control? Home. Relationships.
People, chaos.
So it makes total sense to me that this guy's presentation, his confession here is, I only want to be where I can be in control and know that I can measure what I'm doing and everything kind of fits with what I can handle. So I'm away from home a lot because I can't handle, I'm not in control there. There's relationships that are give and take. It's back and forth. It's chaos. It's messy.
And clear success at work and reward and recognition and praise, and you go home and
how can you measure your marriage relationship? Like, what are the measuring tools?
And I just want to talk.
Right.
Well, when does that start? When's the middle? And when's the end of a talk?
Right.
And then you talked to me yesterday, and are we talking about the same thing? Why do we have to talk some more, Let me go do something. So today's podcast is, what's your emotional system? What system are you running? And we're talking to men who have emotional systems that somehow lend themselves to supplementing it with porn, sexuality, misused sexuality. So we talked at great length about one brother that said, when I get stressed, I hide. I like to be alone. I go inside a place. I get away. Relationships are confusing and overwhelming. And if I can just go away and be alone and hide, then I'm in good shape.
Now, here's the difference I see between number 3 guy and number 4 guy. Number 3 guy is saying, I want to be at work and I want to be these places because there's a control element. I can be in control. Number 4 guy is saying, I hide. I want to be alone because I'm afraid. And so I think there's more of a fear element with number 4 guy. Is I'm afraid of what I don't know. Not necessarily what I can't control. I'm afraid. If things stress me out, I get afraid. There's a lot of fear.
Yeah,
There's
there's a lot of
anxiety.
fear. There you go. That's good.
And so, because our listeners, you might have heard between number 3 guy and number 4 guy, well, aren't those the same things? They're just kind of escaping. They're going away. Yes, but their motivation for why they're doing that is different. One guy's saying, I go to work because I can be controlled.
Yes.
The other guy's saying, I want to hide because I'm afraid. They're both disconnecting from relationships.
Yes.
They're both isolating, but they're doing
And
it
one
for
is
different
just
reasons.
away, and the other and lost, and the other's got great clarity. A work project, beginning, a middle, ending, reward. Let me do that again. See, aren't I good? So, okay, I'm changing the title again. Now the title is, What's Your Emotional Coping Style? Right? Because we're not just talking about an emotional style. Now we know it's a coping, right? I go to work. Work is where I have order. Or I run and hide because away I'm strong. In the relationship, it's dangerous. So I go really fast and move along. Or I zone out and get lost. So we're to guy number 5 now, right? And this is a very common one we hear. And I wanted to sort of process this with what you think it, if you could break it down anymore. But it sounds like this. Well, I've just always enjoyed women. I'm a real sexual guy. Women throw themselves at me, and women want sex anyway. And I just, I'm sort of good at being sexual, and it's always been a part of who I am.
Well, it is a common one, and I kind of, this to me is a hard one sometimes because I think I believe that under every single acting out there is a legitimate soul need. So in other words, if guys go into porn or what, there's a legitimate soul need underneath that. And in this sense, I think you could boil this down to there is a legitimate soul need for affection.
Yes, that's good.
We have a general soul need for affection. And a lot of times, who is the first person in our human life in which we need that affection? Our mother. Right? So there is a female presence that is so important in the very first of our. So I sometimes wonder if some of these guys, what was your mother relationship like? Was there affection? And maybe they learned along the way, hey, they've got charm, they've got charisma, and they learned that women are attracted to that. And so they just feel like I'm a sexual guy, when in fact what they are is they're a guy who needs affection. They've misinterpreted that to mean I'm just a sexual guy. I mean, I need a lot of sex.
Because somebody might say you need arousal, you need variety, but underneath it all is I need to be affectionately recognized, affectionately held, and affectionately enjoyed. But I have this habitual thing, and I'm not developing real relationships, and women want relationships, and so I do the startup, and then I dump them, and I find another one, I do a startup, and then I leave because they want real, I just want attention, affection, pleasure.
And now, if there are listeners out there that have ever said or thought about themselves, I just have a high sex drive, I would encourage you, and maybe even challenge you over this next week, to change the question. Is it that you have a high sex drive, or is it that you have a high affection need? Could you explore that? Because sometimes I think we get those confused. We get those confused because we attach our sexuality early on to that deep soul need of affection, and it gets skewed to where by the time we're 30, 40, 50, we just go, I got a high sex drive, I need sex every day. Where in fact it might be, and I'm not saying this is necessarily what it is, but it might be, I have a high need for affection that I did not receive in healthy ways. And I've just appropriated it towards sex. And so I just have decided I've got a high sex drive.
So it's 10 men talking and expressing their emotional coping style. So number 6 says this, I wow people. People like me. I'm loved. They think I'm wonderful. I'm good. People will say to me, you're wonderful. People will say to my wife, you're wonderful. And I really have a good presentation socially. And I know that. But I also have to supplement that with the porn.
Yeah, and I've always wondered, this is one that I've personally struggled with because I've often thought, okay, if we are so amazing why do we simultaneously feel so ashamed and so full of shame?
Hmm.
So it's like there's
Dirty and bad, right?
There's a disconnect, because if I am truly so amazing, why would I go to these things that clearly only produce shame in my life? And so there's this disconnect there that says, and I believe that the underlying need on this one is affirmation, legitimate, true affirmation. See, he's being affirmed only of the facade and the presentation that he's given.
Right.
So deep in his soul, he's going, the people that are saying you're wonderful and they're wowed and they're amazed by my presentation.
Right.
I'm not necessarily receiving that as true affirmation.
But that doesn't nurture my soul,
Exactly.
you're saying, deeply.
And it's because they're not seeing his soul.
And it's really a con job, right?
It is.
So everybody loves me on the outside, but I don't love me on the inside.
Yeah.
I don't have peace on the inside. I really don't think I'm good enough. But if I can make you believe I'm really good, well, that's pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't believe I'm good enough, really.
And it feels, and here's the thing, because I've lived this. It feels good in the moment for somebody to say, you're awesome, you're wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fleeting because you know what's true about your brokenness. Think about how that translates to porn. Oh, it feels good in the moment, doesn't it? But then it's fleeting because it has no lasting reality, no lasting goodness. And so in a way, you're kind of, they're parallels of each other. Porn is a presentation of something that is not real. It's not real, I mean, in terms of relationships and intimacy and all of that. So, but it wows in the moment. What do? You've got a presentation. It's not real. It's not the true self, but it wows in the moment, it thrills in the moment. So,
I think of these Western towns with this stick holding up the storefront, It looks like a great storefront. You look behind, there's a stick. There isn't depth back there.
Exactly.
The whole program isn't there. So guy number 7 shows up and he says, well, I know something about myself because I'm told this regularly. I'm kind of oblivious. My wife says, well, why don't you pick up those shoes? Or why don't you clean up that mess? Don't you see it? Why can't you help around the house? Don't you know the grass needs to be cut? So I know I'm sort of oblivious to things. I live near them, but I'm not connected very well.
Well, I think this is very common, I think, in a lot of guys who have essentially grown up with the idea that if I just stay out of the way, if I just, be irresponsible, if I just seem like I don't know what I'm doing, then everybody else will take care of everything, and I can just kind of keep doing my porn thing. I can kind of have my own life. So he's saying he's oblivious. I would be hard pressed to find a person who is actually truly oblivious. I mean, I think you almost have to have like an illness or something to be truly oblivious. He may not be paying attention, but that
right. He's not paying attention to the present and the needs, but he is paying attention to something.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So he's got focus, but it's just not in the things that he needs to be focused on.
Mm.
And I think that goes back to early kind of coping mechanisms. Hey, if I can just, and there's part of me that hears maybe in his story that he was maybe ignored to a degree, so he kind of got used to just being the wallflower and nobody's going to pay attention to him.
Left alone, not included. And so, I mean, you have to be connected. You have to be included. You have to be bonded and joined in one, right? Mm-hmm. But if you never learned that as a kid, you just learn. And some people say, I'm sort of invisible. When I go in a room, I'm invisible. No one sees me. No one wants to talk to me.
And you know what I hear in that? One of the reasons that I think a guy would then go to porn is there's the underlying need for attention. And what does porn give you? 100% undivided attention, right? You are the center of the universe.
You're the man. You're a superstar.
The problem is, again, the legitimate need is attention, right? But when we go to porn to try to get it, it's as fleeting as those facade Western towns that you're talking about. You open the door, and next thing you know, it's just a tumbleweed, And so I think this guy is, and then it's easy for guys like this to then almost kind of throw a pity party. Nobody pays attention to me. I'm oblivious. I'm this and that.
And I think they're happily oblivious. It's the wives, the people around them. They're screaming and jumping up and down, going, "Help! Get involved. Why do I have to tell you what? Just tell me what to do. He'll say, just tell me what to do. Why do I have to make you a list? Nobody makes me a list. Look around, you know. So guy number 8 says, look, nobody takes care of me. Nobody ever took care of me. I take care of me. That's what life's about, okay? I take care of me. No one ever did. No one does. So I do.
Yeah. And you know what? I think this is another one that I think is really common, because a lot of guys, I think, you know, we talked about a few weeks ago about the guy who would go off and hide, right? And I think there's a lot of children who are raised in families where they're either ignored or abandoned or rejected, or there's a lot of pain in that. And so this kid, you know, where the one guy, he learned to just go hide, just kind of get away. This guy, he learned to say, it's all on me. I'm going to take care of me, and I'm going to put it on my shoulders, and I'll take. And if you think about it, there's a control issue to that, and I think that lends itself to a porn addiction, because it's no matter if you think that you have got to perfectly manage everything in your life, guess what? That's a huge burden to bear, and porn is a relief. Porn is a release from that. Porn is like an escape to be able to go, you know what? I need a place where I don't have to feel like I'm
exhausted.
I've got to be the
taking
one
care of
to
me.
do everything.
It's empty too. I want to go somewhere where I'm taken care of, right? And so number 9, guy comes in and says, you know what I've noticed about myself? I get frozen. I like lock up. Something's going on around me, and it's just like I don't know what to do. I'm like paralyzed. I get overwhelmed, and so I just sort of lock up the whole system. I go inside myself and shut everything down, because like I don't know what to do with your problem. I don't know what to do with you. Why are you venting all that pain at me? Why are you telling me all your problems and suffering? What do you? Why? What's my part? Why am I? Don't do it, please. Leave me alone.
And you know what's interesting? I hear in this one, because I can resonate with this one a lot, and I don't know if this is necessarily the case for this guy, but I know a lot of times when I hear guys say this, I get frozen. I generally will ask questions about perfectionism, because now it seems like a weird leap to make, but one thing we know about perfectionism is that a perfectionist, if asked to come into a situation or even an environment where there are many, many unknown factors, will generally back out of that environment because it's too overwhelming. If there's 1 or 2 unknown variables, they might be able to engage that and say, how can we tweak and change? But if they enter into a place where there's like a dozen or
and they're
20,
overwhelmed, it's too
a perfectionist,
much.
because the mindset of a perfectionist is, if I'm going to engage this, I have to be able to do it perfectly. So when a wife comes or somebody comes and says, I want to talk, and next thing you know, there's 14 things that come out of her mouth that you have no answers for.
That's good. That's right.
That's like, I get frozen. I don't know what to do. So I'm wondering if there could be a little bit of perfectionism
There's
in
something,
this guy, you know?
Right? And he says, my system isn't working. And so freezing up is what I know how to do, and it's what I do. It's ticking off my wife. It's not helping me grow. And then, of course, it's not very satisfying. So he adds his porn supplement to this emotional coping style to try to have a full life.
And I think
he's not connecting.
Yeah.
Really. He's frozen.
Well, I think that's where it's important here for this guy to be able to think, and for any of our listeners that can resonate with that, to be able to think in terms of staying present and realizing that not everything gets resolved and not everything has a perfect solution.
So number 10 is I like anger. I use anger. Anger makes me strong. I get my way with anger. Anger works.
Yeah.
I like anger.
Well, guess what you can be assured of? If you're angry, people aren't going to want to get close to you. So you can stay in your little bubble. You can stay in your little world, in your isolation, and in your porn. So
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
But I use anger.
Right. Well, folks, these are hopefully some insights that can help you maybe even see some things in your own life that maybe you are struggling with. We would love to be able to help you in your journey. So if you would like some help along the way, please contact us. And we look forward to seeing you back here again next week on the Pure Sex Radio broadcast.
Pure Sex Radio is paid for by Be Broken Ministries. Visit us online at puresexradio.com.